Greetings, business professionals, and welcome to another video edition of Building Better Businesses. I am your host, Steve Eschbach, and I'm delighted to have you join us on another one of our episodes. I am one of a few Transworld business advisor owners here in Chicagoland, and we specialize in assisting business owners confidentially sell and match them with qualified buyers. Transworld, by the way, is the world's largest and fastest growing business brokerage firm. I also own a number of other entities that are designed to assist business owners enhance value. You know, I have been a corporate executive and a business owner for more than 40 years, so you would think I would know everything possible about running a business efficiently. Well, you would be further from the truth. In fact, I am delighted to say that many of my successes have been attributable to you out there who have, quote, been there, done that in a world that never seems to stop changing. So I am delighted now to present another episode whereby we can learn from a subject matter expert on how to enhance your business operations. Now on to the next edition of Building Better Businesses. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to introduce a good friend and business colleague of mine, Andrew Cagnetta. You go by Andy, right?
Andy's great, yes.
Andy's great. Andy is the Chief Executive Officer of Transworld Business Advisors, which is the largest business brokerage firm in the United States. Anything else you want to add to that, Andy, regarding Transworld?
I think it's the world too. So, we're very excited to be the largest and enjoying that spot right now. So, and we're continuing to grow. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely. That's good. So what I wanted to do is find out a little bit more about you. You're the Chief Executive Officer of Transworld, and you've been doing that for a number of years. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got to be where you are today.
Well, I left college in 1987, and I was kind of struggling looking for a job, didn't know what I wanted to do. So my first entrepreneurial path was to start a small cell phone business where we were selling cell phones. And back then you actually installed them in cars. And we eventually graduated to the brick phones, but we were selling them for about, $2,000 a piece. And so that was kind of my first foray into business. And I kind of bounced around a little bit in between businesses and wound up buying a business in Hartford, Connecticut at one point, a pasta shop. And we bought it, we ran it, we wound up selling it. And in the process of that, I had met my wife who grew up in Florida, and we started talking about where we wanted to settle down next. And we decided to, in Southeast Florida, where I am now, in the Fort Lauderdale area. And she grew up here and we moved down. And so I started looking to buy a business. And in the process of looking to buy a business, I went to a lot of business brokers, and for the most part, I felt like I was in a used car sales room and didn't feel like they had my best interests at heart. And then, I wound up with Transworld one day, and I really just enjoyed the owners at the time.
So what have you learned along the way, and what kind of set you up for where you are today? You've been doing it for quite a number of years right now, so there might have been a lot of learning experiences that you encountered along the way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a ton of learning experiences, and I draw on those learning experiences, from that pasta shop, from running that small little cell phone store, and then I was selling guitars, and I had my own manufacturer's rep firm, and you draw on all these kind of things. And I've been at Transworld. I joined in 95. I bought the company in 97, and we built it up from one small business, business brokerage office to multiples in Florida. And then we wound up franchising it 10 years ago. And yeah, you learn all kinds of things. I mean, and it's funny, people ask me, aren't you really proud of what you've grown? And sometimes I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, I'm proudest of the times when it was the toughest, right? That's the real skill in running a business. Everybody can run a business when it's making a lot of money. I think it's really hard to run a business when it's not.
Absolutely. So tell me what you think about the current times here. We're now in the age of the coronavirus just kind of getting into its mainstream. And there's a lot of things that we have to pay attention to. So what do you recommend we as business brokers and business owners and people looking to buy businesses, what do they need to look out for these days?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's lots of things you have to look out for. I'm coming up with a little speech that I'm going to wind up giving to our business broker organization later this week. And so there's basically three things. Number one, you got to protect yourself, right? So the first thing is take care of yourself. I mean, get enough sleep, stay home at this point. We're at a point in the COVID crisis where they're recommending everybody stay home. And then second of all, kind of, get your house in order, get your family and your business in order and protect those people. And then third is, to shore up your business. You want to make sure that you apply for any relief that you need. You want to budget your cash accordingly. You want to work on reducing all expenses moving forward. And then lastly, get ready for the future, because as we've learned in all the economic downturns, after 9/11, after disasters, in Florida, we have hurricanes. And then after the economic downturn, what we always see is that in the dip is the time that there's lots of opportunity.
Absolutely. So along the way, let's kind of rewind the videotape. Let's go back to when you were a child. How did you get started? What were your interests as a child? And then how did you progress along the way?
I think one of the things, I guess I was always motivated, and I always felt like I was the oldest in the family and probably one of my older group of friends. So I guess I was kind of looked as a leader on some levels. And then one of the things that my earliest entrepreneurial experience is during the gas crisis in the late 70s, or whenever it was. I think it was the late 70s. And the line for the local gas station, used to snake all the way by my house. And so I got the idea of that I would go out and buy, pastries and set up my mom's coffee urn and sell coffee to everybody sitting in line. And so that's my earliest memory. I mean, other than it was kind of like a bigger version of lemonade stand. So I guess, I had the entrepreneurial bug back then.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, that's really good. And I think a lot of people have to learn to think out of the box. What other pieces of advice have you gotten along the way? And then now, as you become the CEO of Transworld, what is the kind of advice you're giving to either a business owner or a business broker as they continue to go forward and continue to become a better person at what they're doing?
There's a couple of things that, just came to mind when you asked me that. And so there's two things. I think one of the things is I always try to be honest with my employees and my partners and especially about bad times, right? We're in a tough time. And I think if you can be as transparent as possible and empathetic as possible, people will gravitate toward you as a leader. And I think I learned that not because someone told me to do it that way. It's that I was in organizations that were exactly the opposite. Everything was a secret, lots of backstabbing. People didn't know what was happening day to day, always on edge. And I've learned that I don't want to run I don't want to run a family. I don't want to run a company like that. I don't want to run any organization like that. And I found that having, transparency and honesty and basically believing in people first and not treating them like pawns, and they're more than a business asset. So I think that's really important. And that has led me also to believe that you need to give back in your community. And I think that giving back in your community shows who you are. It also gets you a lot of skills that you perhaps didn't have, like strategic planning and all these things that have just given so much to me by me, reaching out to the community.
And is that the advice you'd give others, to do the same thing along the lines of what you're doing?
Yeah. So I always tell people, get involved in your community earlier than even I did. I mean, I wish I would have joined a few charitable boards or got involved earlier in my career, although I did it very early in my career. But I think I see some of the young kids out there in the world that join organizations like the United Way and Junior Achievement, and there's just so many, Rotary, whatever it is. But if you start early, you could become a leader in these organizations as an early, and you learn a ton. I think it's great.
Absolutely. So if you had to give some advice going forward now, well, let me take a step back. So Transworld has become the leader in the business brokerage field. What do you attribute that success? Now, you've been at the helm for quite some time. We've grown. You started in Florida. We've grown outside of Florida. I bought my business 2 years ago. I was one of two. I'm now one of five. I'm excited about that. What do you think is contributing to the success and growth of Transworld?
I think it is becoming, understanding that we want to work with a lot of businesses. I think becoming all of us putting our thoughts and ideas and assets together to create a dynamic marketplace. And to create a dynamic marketplace, I do want people working with large number of people. And again, I'm a marketer at heart, so I really do believe in going out there and promoting yourself and promoting your brand through mass media and things like that. And I think a lot of brokers out there in the world don't look at their business as a business. They look at it as like a small brokerage. And I think we've been successful because we approach it like a business person would.
Okay, that's good. So what advice would you give again now? So you have a conference call coming up tomorrow you're going to explain to buyers on what they need to look out for in terms of buying a business. So what are you going to be, I know I'm jumping a little bit, but this will air after that. What advice would you give for buyers now?
Well, listen, buyers right now are in a unique position. There's been, in the 27 years that I've been involved with Transworld, 25 years, so it feels like 27, but 25 years that I've been involved with Transworld. There's been a buyer market maybe 3 times. Post 9/11 for a few months. Post maybe 2010, 9, 10, and maybe parts of 11. And then probably after this, I don't know how long the bounce is going to take for it to come back. It's going to come back. But I would give it 1 to 3 quarters of buyers being able to purchase things at an advantage. And so my advice to buyers and people who have companies who want to expand right now, this is your time. I mean, how many times do we look back after the housing crisis? We said, oh, if we only bought property then, or after the .com bust, oh, if we only had bought Google or Yahoo then, or, everybody looks back on those kind of opportunities and said, if I only did. Well, this is another opportunity for you. And so once, we're all kind of conserving cash and we're all worried about, when this is going to end. But once you see that light at the end of the tunnel, and once you could kind of start to strategically look at this thing ending, it is time to get out there. I got a call today from someone that I've been working with, very successful entrepreneur. Haven't heard from him in over a year. And I have a call with him later on today, multi-millionaire, very, very successful person. He's like, it looks like it's time for me to get back in the market and start buying. I mean, there you go. The leaders are going to start buying.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So what was the highest point? Let's start. What was the lowest point of your career? And then we'll go to the highest point of your career up to now.
Well, the lowest point in my career is when I've lost coworkers, and we lost a dear friend early in our career. His name was Tom, and his wife Joanne. They were killed in Chicago, actually, in a car accident, and that was absolutely our lowest at Transworld. Very sad.
And how did you get over that? That must have taken some
I don't know if you ever get over those kind of things. I mean, my associate Tom Jones and Ray Coppell, we were there at the time, and we still look back. We're still friends with his parents. We went out to dinner with them. I mean, we'll always honor Tommy and his wife. And So I don't know if you get over it, but you smile more than you cry, I guess, eventually.
So on the flip side, what would you say your highest moment of your career has been?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and wow, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, listen, I am jazzed up that we're the number one franchise in the world, and I've been lucky enough to be honored for that, and our whole team being honored for that. Becoming in the UFG Hall of Fame, being in the been honored by United Way and Junior Achievement in their Hall of Fame. I mean, we've had some really nice awards that have been given to us over the years. So some of that stuff, but listen, the high point is, sharing that with my family, including my Transworld family. So that's the high point.
That's good to know. The other thing I'm getting a sense out of what you're saying is that, and it's something that I advocate as well, is that visibility is key. And I think you need to continue to reach out, and not only to advise people, but also to accept some advice as well. It's a give and take, I would say, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, like I said before, volunteering for nonprofit boards and industry boards has taught me so much, is given back to me so much, and just learning about strategic planning and negotiating. I mean, some of the industry boards I'm on, you're on there with your competitors, and a lot of them are hard-headed, and trying to negotiate in that kind of environment is very challenging, and I've learned tons from that. And I'm just reading a book. I just read a book called Building Your Brand Story, which I thought was a great book. I'm reading The Fifth Discipline, I think it is. Mike Shea from my team is yelling at me every day, finish the book. So there's lots of great things that we could learn, and we have to continue learning, especially like right now. Wow, in the middle of a COVID crisis, where I'm burying my nose into understanding all the disaster loans and PPP, not necessarily because we need them, but because our clients need them, and they look to us to be trusted advisors.
Yeah. And I think continuing to reach out, even though, you may not have the answers to their questions, but just being someone that I think cares about who they are and where they are and how you might be able to help them in terms of whatever else they need. I think that's just the way you've got to be.
Yeah. I mean, thank God for technology, right? So I can't imagine us going through this COVID crisis 10 years ago, certainly not 20 years ago. 10 years ago, there's no way that we could be on having this this Zoom call right now and being able to connect with people. I had a Zoom call with my administrative staff. We're having 2 a week. We usually have 1 a week, but we're having 2 a week now. And we have weekly sales meetings with all of our salespeople. I mean, we're just making sure we're touching people. And I told everybody, I'm like, even if we have nothing to talk about, if things slow down to the point where we're doing nothing, we're going to get on the phone and just make sure everybody's okay. And we're trying to do that with our clients. We're doing that in the community. And yes, it's so important to stay out there on social media and, touch people.
Absolutely. So I think that's about all the questions I have for you right now, Andy, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to kind of tell us a little bit more. Where can our audience go to get more information about you and your firm?
Yeah, sure. So, you could always go to tworld.com. We have a lot of information there. We also run a podcast. We have about 80 episodes out there right now. It's called the dealboardpodcast.com. And it's very informative about how to buy and sell a business. I do write a lot of articles, so you can go to my LinkedIn and see a lot of articles there that we write over time. I mean, again, I'm such a fan of entrepreneurs, right? And I always tell people that if you're going to do a deal out there, just give us a call. I mean, even if we're not involved, I mean, you found your own deal, you have your own seller, or you're a seller and you have your own buyer, give us a call anyway. We won't charge you anything because, we're not there doing our service, but we'll just help look at it for you and give you some advice, because we know a couple things. Number one, that deal may fall through and you may need help moving forward, and you might want our advice and expertise and be willing to pay for it. And number two is, even if you buy that business, you're probably going to eventually sell it again, or we could help you build the business through acquisition. So we are huge fans of entrepreneurs. We just want to be there for you.
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. Well, that's about all I have for you right now, Andy. I want to thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate your insights, and thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.